Good morning to all of the guests here in the ONOC office in Suva, and to those of our colleagues and friends internationally online. We are looking at creating a home games advantage. We had that opportunity in Sydney when we had a 7-year lead up to the Olympic Games in Sydney with funding from the Australian Sports Commission and allowing our athletes to train in Australia. Around the lead up to the Olympic Games, we had many new Olympic committees attending the Sydney Olympics, either just before or for the oldies like Fiji and Papua New Guinea for quite a while, since the mid-50s. So we didn't really take advantage in the sense that technically many of our athletes weren't up to the level to be competitive. But on behalf of ONOC and its sports stakeholders, I have much pleasure in announcing a special 10-year campaign to create a home games advantage for the Pacific Islands. Today marks 10 years to the opening ceremony of the 2032 Olympic Games in Brisbane, Australia. To celebrate this important milestone, we're now launching a campaign to create a home games advantage for the athletes of the Pacific Islands, as well as the whole Oceania region. The impetus is for us to promptly organize ourselves and produce the best result ever by the Pacific Islands, New Zealand, and indeed Australia at our very own home games. ONOC, with the mandate to develop Olympic sport in the region, is leading the initiative on behalf of its members, the National Olympic Committees of the Pacific Islands and for the Oceania region. Our sporting partners during this journey include as our host National Olympic Committee, the Australian Olympic Committee, the Oceania Paralympic Committee and the host NPC, Paralympics Australia, the Organisation of Sports Federations of Oceania, OSFO, the Commonwealth Games Federation Oceania and the host CGA, Commonwealth Games Australia, the Pacific Games Council, the Oceania Australia Foundation, and the National Sports Federations and National Paralympic Committees. During this 10-year journey, we'll undertake a phased approach, reviewing the progress and our programs with major milestones, leveraging the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Victoria, Australia, and the Los Angeles Olympic Games in 2028. In between, we have major competitions that we have the pleasure of being able to compete in, including the Asian Games next year, the Solomon Islands Pacific Games, 2024, as I mentioned, Paris, 2025, the Pacific Mini Games, and it rolls on with competitions every year, sometimes 2 to 3 international events. ONOC is seeking to design and resource a targeted long-term strategy with world-class leadership and a holistic high-performance environment to ensure optimum success for the Pacific at Brisbane 2032. In the 2-year lead-up period to the Paris Olympic Games, ONOC will be carrying out an audit on the resources, facilities, and the specific needs in each Pacific Island NOC. It is important that we make full use of Olympic Solidarity resources and funding and other identified resources in country to ensure adequate preparation of our athletes and their supporting entourage. Our Brisbane-based project team is led by its chair, Kevin Gosper, former president of ONOC, Andrew Minogue, the CEO of the Pacific Games Council, and our program lead for the project, Atma Maharaj. That's this one. In Brisbane, based in Brisbane. They've all been very proactive in establishing relationships and have had preliminary discussions with a number of potential long-term Australian partners for the campaign. We have initiated dialogue with the Australian government through its responsible department. In June, we had the opportunity to meet Andrew Laveris, the president of Brisbane 2032, and the newly appointed staff for the organizing committee to discuss the potential areas of collaboration with Brisbane 2032 aligned to our secondary and legacy objectives. Brisbane 2032 President Andrew Laveris assured me that they look forward to working with us over the coming decade to ensure Brisbane 2032 as an Olympic and Paralympic Games that will benefit the Oceania region as a whole. With the stake now firmly in the ground with today's announcement, we will leverage and build on these foundations, as well as reach out to all the potential strategic and program partners within Australia. Additionally, over the coming months, we plan to start conversations with a wide range of stakeholders, including the governments and NOCs, NPCs, CGAs of future host nations, Paris, Los Angeles, which I mentioned, and the Victoria Commonwealth Games. On the 29th of July, the day after the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games, I'll be meeting with the New Zealand contingent, and in September, we'll be traveling to New Zealand to meet with the government, the Olympic Committee, and Sports New Zealand. NOCs and NPCs and their respective governments and stakeholders for the Pacific Island Forum dialogue partners and nations outside of Oceania will be contacted and continue the relationship that already exists. With the countdown now on, ONOC with its sports stakeholders invite Australian and international partners to join hands with us now in support of the dedicated program being developed for Brisbane 2032. These shared and pooled resources and partnerships will help in creating a powerful, results-oriented, long-term program of which the whole region will be very proud of. Today's official announcement of the program provides a call to action that we need to seize the moment as if 2023 is now. Thank you.